Hey everyone, I'm a little bit early, so I'm just want to try and share how do I share? Oh, there we go. I'm going to share it to my Be Simply You group if I can. Okay. Okay, good. We're live there, good. Okay. Yay! Okay, so today I want to talk to you about emotions coming to the surface, because there is a lot of that happening right now. I don't know if it's the moon. I don't know if it's just the tensions that are in the world right now. I don't know, but it's happening a lot. And I thought now might be a good time as any to try and address the best way to handle these emotions that are coming to the surface. So, first of all, if the special people that gave me this cup are watching this, thank you. I'm using it. I'm Jackie Ellis, from JackieEllis.com. We are talking today about emotions coming to the surface. So when you pop on, and if you're seeing this, say hello. Drop a comment below. If you think it's something that somebody else would benefit from, share it. Share the love. I don't know about you, but like what's been going on is there's been a lot of things come to the surface. People are finding that emotionally they are drained, because either there's a lot of people, well, social media is draining, for a lack of a better term. But a lot of that has to do with baggage from other people, and if we accept that baggage from other people, then you're going to feel a toll on your own emotional self or health. But there may be some emotions that are coming up for you as well, and I want to talk about those. When we are going through some stuff, eventually our inner self will say, okay, you know what, it's time to heal from this. It's time to recognize this. And so we'll find situations coming up, patterns coming up that are very similar, and the same emotions keep coming up on a regular basis. over and over again. And it's very easy to just stuff those emotions down and ignore them. But when you do, that inner self kind of goes poke, 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 poke. Come on, wake up. You've got this. It's time. It's time to recognize this. And it will be persistent. It will be persistent until you finally go, okay, I give up. What do I need to deal with? What do I need to face? So when you're finding that your life is in turmoil and there's lots of emotions coming up and you're just facing, no matter how where you turn, you're facing something. Your life actually will feel like you're in a house of mirrors that you can't get away from, right? You're wherever you turn, you're facing something, and it can be exhausting. And it takes a toll on you physically, mentally, and emotionally. It does. When you can start to recognize the emotion, when you start to be mindful of the thoughts you're having, the feelings you're having, and really start to reflect on what those are, then those mirrors turn into windows. And the windows can open. And that's beautiful because they become windows of opportunity. Now, just recognizing the emotion is the first step. Because before, when you were seeing lots of mirrors where your emotions, your reactions, your normal reactions would bounce off those mirrors, those things, those emotions, those reactions that you were having, those were driven by your subconscious. So you just automatically acted without even really thinking through it. When you start changing those mirrors into windows, you can pause after you recognize the emotion. You can pause and reflect on it and really kind of dig into why you're feeling that way. Is that other person's trigger? And I'm the mirror for them? Or is it my trigger and they're the mirror for me? Ooh, okay. Well, let's think about that. If they're the mirror for you, that's the emotion that you need to deal with. That's the emotion that's telling you a message. So then you can change that mirror. By pausing, you're changing that mirror into a window. And you're going to lift that window without putting any judgment on yourself. And you're going to open yourself up to actually understanding what's going on behind those emotions. What do I need to heal about myself? What do I need to forgive about myself? What action do I need to take that's different than I've been doing before? And when you start to ask yourselves those types of questions, that window becomes a portal of opportunity. And you get to choose what to do next. You get to choose how to act intentionally instead of reacting like you normally would. And that's where life changes. That's when your relationships start to change. That's when your situation, your quality of life changes. That's when your health changes. And there's ways to actually move through this process so that you're not necessarily getting triggered all the time. And I'm talking about it more and more in my Be Simply You Facebook group. And I'm teaching you how to do that step by step through this. Okay? Live video is amazing because I'm trying to process what's going on in my head, but you're pausing, waiting for me to talk. Okay, so I talked about if the other person is a mirror for you. So in other words, you were triggered by something and it bounced back on, so whatever was being said bounced back on you and you were triggered and you started to feel things. And so you then paused and you're going, okay, instead of reacting to this, I'm going to think about this. That triggered me. What's behind that? And then you start looking at it without judgment on yourself. Because, you know what, before you paused, before you realized that that mirror was there, you didn't see the mirrors. You spent your whole life up until now not realizing you were living life with mirrors all around you. And you normally react. Say things, do things, without even realizing it. Without realizing it. Without knowing the impact it had on you and other people. You just reacted. So there's no judgment. Because now you know. Now you know that you have the power to change those mirrors into windows. So when you change that, you make the decision to change that mirror into a window. And you can open that window and go, okay, what's the opportunity here? What can I work on? What can I heal from? What action should I take now? And then you choose the next step. And if it wasn't perfect, it doesn't matter because you learned from something and you can choose a different direction next time. It's growing and learning. That's all it is. That's all it is. Now let's look at from the other perspective. Someone was triggered by something that you said. It's not your responsibility. You are not responsible for how they feel. Let's get that straight. It's their journey. It's their journey. So they have a window, or they have the opportunity of a window. Their trigger is against a mirror. And they've been triggered by that. So now you have a choice. And their reaction has come knocking at a door for you. Lots of metaphors today. Lots of metaphors, all relating to houses. Windows, mirrors, doors. Okay, so their trigger is knocking at your door. Now, before you knew what triggers were and all of that, you would just let them walk in. They weren't even knocking, they were just walking in and like throwing their energy everywhere in your house, in your space. And you would feel that and you would take that on, and it would be your emotional responsibility to try and fix it, to try and heal from it, to try and like do what you can because it was your fault. But it's not. Now, don't get me wrong. There are people that are just intentionally being jerks. And if they're intentionally being jerks, you don't need to deal with that anyway. But if people are just triggered because they need to heal, that's still not it's not your fault that they were triggered. They were only triggered because it's their time to recognize that and their time to heal from that. Now, you can't make them do that, but you also can protect yourself from taking on that energy, absorbing their baggage. And so before, when you would just let them kind of walk in whenever they wanted and drop their baggage down, put their feet up on the couch and say, hey, I'm hanging out here for a while. No. Before you used to do that. Now you can actually protect yourself and like just peek through the peek hole or open the door a little bit and go, no, this isn't mine. You can carry on your journey. I'm not accepting this energy. I'm not accepting your baggage. With love, come see me another time. Does that make sense? Even as empaths, we don't need to accept other people's baggage. We can feel compassion for other people and still recognize the difference between our own stuff and their stuff. And like most of us, we have our own stuff, and that is plenty to deal with. Because our own stuff is like ancestral baggage as well. And old relationships and all the other baggage we collected over the years just because we didn't know any better. So now that we know better, now that we know that we have the ability to change those mirrors into windows, we have the power within ourselves to make a difference in our life. And it starts within. It starts with recognizing the emotion, not stuffing it down, not ignoring it, not putting it off to another time. It's going, oh, okay, that got under my skin a little bit. What's with that? Ooh, and my jaw's a little tense. Why am I clenching my jaw right now? What am I feeling? And if your chakras are working, like mine are, right? And I start feeling something and I'm like, is there something about boundaries there? All of a sudden my sacral's going nuts and I'm like, yeah, I gotta look at what boundaries I'm not doing. There is inner power in all of us to start this journey. And we all, no matter what political person is in office, we all have the power to be the change in our own life. All of us. And we can do that by starting to recognize our own emotions. Pausing before we react to reflect on why we're feeling that way. And then without judgment on ourselves or another person, figuring out why that matters. Where do we have to heal? What do we need to resolve? And then choosing to do better, choosing the next action. And I simplify it, but it's not always easy. It's not. If it was easy, people wouldn't resist. Right? If it was easy, people wouldn't resist. But they do. They do. They stuff the feelings down. They ignore them. They avoid them. They avoid dealing with situations. But if we're really truthfully real about staying where we are, staying in the same emotional turmoil that we always have been, if we're really truly honest about how our lives are, the quality of our life, our health, emotional, physical, mental health, then we can't ignore it any longer. Because ignoring it is what's causing the struggle. And it's time to get real. It's time to be the change that you need in your own life. And when I say this, I say it to myself too. I see the struggle that people have. I see the struggle that they go through. And I see the emotional turmoil that they're spreading out, they're spewing out to everyone. And it seems to be easier to do on social media than in person with someone. And maybe that's because when you're standing in front of another person, you're actually looking them in the eye instead of just a screen. But words hurt. Emotions hurt. And the energy that's in the world right now is filled with pain and trauma. And there's a lot of hurting people in the world. And the only way that we can make a difference, the only way that we can bring a little bit more peace in the world is by working on ourselves and be the change that the world needs. Be the change that you need. The only way to create a life you love is to do this. And it starts with recognizing your emotions and understanding the energetics behind what you're doing and how you're reacting and why you're reacting that way. Yes, I'm an empath, and I feel everyone's emotions. I see the pain that they're in. And my hope is for more peace in this world. My hope is that we can somehow work through the generational pain that has been passed on to us for generations and generations and generations. That we've inherited unknowingly and carried for so long. And if the work that I do in some way helps people heal in that way, then I've done my job. Then I've done my job. So, before I bawl completely, I am going to invite you to join us over at Be Simply You Facebook group. I'm doing a number of videos where I'm teaching the people in that group how to alchemize the shadow. And the shadow is really the emotions and patterns and habits and generational trauma that has been learned over the past, over your past, and recognizing it and deciding whether or not it is serving you or not. And if it's not, how to alchemize it so that it's not triggering you anymore. It's that simple. And then you can live a more peaceful and enjoyable life with ease. And that's really all that you're doing, is you are working to be the change that you need. So, if that's something that interests you, I will see you in the Be Simply You group. Until next time, take care.